portion of the podcast and put it up on their YouTube page. For the super nerds out there, I know not everybody cares about Mandalorian,
It's because
but
you're wrong.
no disagreement from me. But we are going to stitch it up, put that up on the YouTube page. Probably going to try to start doing a bit more stuff with the YouTube page. Try to expand that and expand the podcast as a whole, man.
It may be boring. We're trying.
We're learning, and it's not like there's that many of you anyway, so it's not like we'll be disappointing that many people.
Just like my relationships.
He beat me to it by 1 second.
What can I say? I'm a genius and a gentleman.
Just like Daniel House.
Oh, God. Oh.
Shouts out to Daniel House, man.
Oh, my God.
A real king. A real king. Donations. Moving on.
Oh no.
Mandalorian. Donations. We're moving off that donation. Mandalorian, 6 episodes into season 2. After a very, very strong season 1.
Yes.
Probably in terms of TV shows, because like I don't watch a whole lot of TV shows, definitely my favorite. And I think for the most part this season they have kept up the quality. I thought there was a bit of a drop with episode 2.
1 and 2 were a little slow for me. 1 and 2 were definitely a little slow.
1 I understood because in like first episode back there's a lot to like kind of there's like a lot of filler to kind of add to it.
Oh yeah.
So I understood episode 1. Episode 2, a lot of people hate it. I don't hate it, but it's very meh for me, very mid.
I thought it was slow. It was very. I was genuinely concerned about the development of the season because of where we started, how the last season ended up, where we were going. I was seriously just like, damn, this is how it is. Like I thought we were better
There was
than
a
this.
bit of a worry that just because I think kind of the same thing whenever it's like when artists drop amazing projects their first time out, you just wonder the first season is so good. It's like, can they really live up to season 1? Which doesn't necessarily mean it'd be bad, but it is a bit of a letdown. But I do think episode 3 and onward, they have built that back up. Been really good.
You ever heard the phrase makes your booty hole tight?
Yes, I've heard that. That's great. I've heard that expression.
Yeah, some of these episodes make my booty hole tight now.
I get what you're saying. There was episode 3 when the other 3 Mandalorians appear, and
Also, super weird. Holy fuck! I was like super confused that episode. I was like, "Oh, there's more Mandalorians, cool," and they were like, "Nah, bitch, you're a weird one." And I was like, "Mando?"
Yeah, that was
What?
real shocking because it's like because basically what we find out is Mando, the Mandalorian, the title character of the series, he never takes his mask off or his helmet off, and that's the way he's been raised by the Mandalorians who he grew up with. He's been taught you never take your mask off for anybody.
Exactly.
Come to find out that
He's in some weird sect.
It really is. But comes to find out, he was found by a sect of Mandalorians who had broken off and were basically like a cult, which is something me and my coworker have talked about, how the whole "this is the way"
is a cult.
Very much a cultish phrase. And they come to find out, basically, he was raised by a cult of Mandalorians who kind of, I think the way they described it, wanted to kind of go back to the old ways of practice as Mandalorians. And
I mean, I respect it.
But basically we find out that instead of he is not the Mandalorian, he is different from the Mandalorians that were more prevalent at that time.
Exactly. That's a good way to put it. I like that.
And it's a very big shock. I think it's as far as character development, I think that is a point to draw on. They don't really It hasn't really come up in the episode since, but I do get the feeling that somehow we'll circle back to that by the end of this season. Just because I feel like that's too important for it to just have like,
Yeah, those are like really important characters. Um,
yeah,
and they like rescued Mando like multiple times.
yeah, they did too. So I definitely expect that to kind of come back up later in the season. So it'll be interesting to see how they apply that. Obviously, I'm trying to think of what the other episodes. I'm trying to like think of the chronological order of episodes and if there's anything like super important in the one that came after that. Oh
So I think the
no, go ahead.
siege.
Yeah,
4 was the siege. So in chapter 3, we dealt with, well, technically chapter 11, we dealt with
yeah.
the heiress, which means the head Mandalorian lady that we got to meet in that episode. And episode 12 deals with someone that we, fun fact, have not seen in a very long time. So very prevalent in the animated series, the comics, any comics that's been released for the Star Wars
Mm-hmm.
universe. We got to meet a super cool character for chapter 12, which is obviously made the siege. So a Jedi. Ta-da-da!
True, true.
Yeah.
One of
So
the last
basically,
Jedi left at that point in time. When
yeah,
this
which
is
is
set.
like super fucking sad, but it'd be
Yes,
like that. Um, so yeah, essentially, he meets a Jedi, Ashoka Tano.
Ahsoka.
Um, huh?
Ahsoka.
Excuse me. I apologize. Basically, meets Ahsoka, and she is after some sort of information. I don't know. I've never dug super deep into this, so I can't give you all the deep analysis
I
about all this
can real
information.
quick because
Hit me up with it
I
then.
haven't like watched all of like the Rebels and the last season of Clone Wars that came out, but like I know what happens because I like to be informed. So at the end of Rebels, a Jedi named Ezra, and because in this episode, at the at one point she asks, "Where's Admiral Thrawn?" Right,
Yep.
and so Admiral Thrawn is like the main villain in the Rebel series,
Yep.
and so at the end of the Rebel series, Thrawn and Ezra get stuck on a ship, and there are like these creatures that can go into hyperspace, like space creatures basically. They open hyperspace portals kind of randomly, and they go through it. And what happens is the ship that Ezra and Admiral Thrawn are on gets dragged into one, and they just disappear. It's not we don't know that they're dead. And I assume from the way like she brings up Thrawn again, I'm assuming that she's looking for Ezra, or at least that's what was speculated by a lot of people on Twitter, is that she's looking for Ezra, which is why she's also looking for Thrawn because they would both be, together, or at least Thrawn would know what happened to him.
Yep.
That's why. That's what people speculate is her goal. That's why she's there, and she believes the person in there knows where he is. Just to give you some context.
Yes. So essentially, they meet. She gets to meet Yoda, baby Yoda, who is now named.
Grogu.
Dun, 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 hello, Grogu. So Grogu is his name. Evidently, he has like a really cool past. So he was actually trained as a Jedi, and some bad shit happened to him, and he hid his powers. And he's basically just been hanging out with Mando for this entire time, and they've developed this like super close bond. And she does not want to take him, so she's
Well,
like, "Hey,
the reason being that her Ahsoka's master is Anakin Skywalker,
oh,
aka Darth Vader.
dun dun dun."
And I can understand why she would not want to train another Jedi, considering what happened to Anakin. And
It'd be
that's
like that.
because
It'd be
of
like that sometimes.
obviously that's because of Grogu's emotional attachment to Mando.
Yes, she did mention about emotional attachments
Yeah,
and
that's the
how
main
she
reason.
saw how that
Because
essentially destroyed Anakin. Like the
Yeah.
emotional attachment Anakin had to Padme literally destroyed him. Um, episode 3 is still one of the most brutal things to watch,
Yeah.
honestly. The younglings.
Oh yeah. No.
RIP the younglings. But yeah, so they have like a cool scene. Grogu kind of shows off his powers. It's really neat to see him and Mando like react together. Like
Mm-hmm.
Mando's essentially like a father figure now, which is like really cute. And then they find out that there's like this Jedi temple with like a cool fucking seeing stone and some shit, and they got to go take Grogu to there to see if he's
Yeah.
gonna get a master.
Another note about that, and this is why I was talking to my coworker earlier, and I was telling her like, I think if the more you know about kind of like, there's layers to like Star Wars fandoms. There's like people who've only seen the movies. There's people who have watched the animated series. There's people who have played the video games that have come out, and then there's like just like the extended universe kind of stuff and the comics and all that. I I've watched all the movies. I watched most of the animated series, and I've played a few of the video games. So like for me, some of the stuff they bring up is like it's very much nerd fandom. It's meant for like people who are really into the series. So the planet she tells him to take Grogu to is Tython, which is a planet in Star Wars: The Old Republic, a game that I'm actually playing right now. Um, so it's basically it's a Jedi. It used to be a Jedi temple. It's very much a central point of the Old Republic game. So when I heard that, I was like, oh shit, Tython. Obviously more nerd stuff, and that moves us into the next and latest episode, which is where they wind up on Tython. He places Grogu on the stone, and shit pops off. Right,
Oh,
Grogu starts connecting with the Force, I guess, is the best way to describe it. And
they start vibing.
he starts vibing, and then a very a iconic Star Wars character shows up. Now, the funny thing is, this character actually shows up back in episode 1, which I don't think I don't. There's not enough time to get into like the first 2 episodes, really. But basically, at the end of the first, if you ever watched it, I feel like most people who listen to this would have watched the movies. Boba Fett shows back up. Now, obviously, in the original trilogy, Boba Fett gets eaten by a Sarlacc.
Yes,
Um, and
thanks
Return of
to
the Jedi.
Obi-Wan, right?
No, Han Solo. And
Oh, sorry.
yeah, I was like, oh, nah.
No, it's
Obi-Wan was
Han and it was somebody else, isn't it?
Lando.
That's right.
Lando's there. It's
Because they're
Lando.
rescuing Luke and Leia.
They're rescuing Han because remember he gets put in
Han was in the fucking brick thingy.
the carbonite.
Against
Leia and Luke tried to save him, but then they all
didn't
get
go so well,
captured. Yeah,
right?
and then all that other shit happens. And one way or another, Boba Fett ends up getting eaten by Sarlacc. Now, in episode 1, what we find out is that I guess we kind of have to explain it because it's important. So basically, in episode 1, the Mandalorian like is looking again, still trying to figure out how to find a Jedi to take Grogu to, and he comes across a town that has been, I guess, they've been dealing with a bit of a crate dragon problem. A crate dragon is basically a big sandworm. It's like pretty much what I described it as.
Yep.
Very large, sandworm. And anyway, things happen. They figure out a way to kill it, and all is well. But at one point during the episode, he notices that the crate dragon has taken up space in an abandoned Sarlacc pit. Abandoned. Now, somebody the sheriff of the town basically goes like, I've been living on Tatooine my whole life. There's no such thing as an abandoned Sarlacc pit. And Mando responds, there is if you eat the Sarlacc.
Yep. Bing, bing, bing.
And so obviously everything happens. And the last shot of that episode is we see a man watching Mando drive off on a speeder. He turns around, it's Boba Fett. And so it all kind of comes together that somehow, some way, Boba Fett managed to escape the Sarlacc, which I'm assuming is probably when they got eaten. Just kind of, you know, connecting the dots, I guess.
Yeah,
And Boba Fett shows up in the latest episode. He's looking for his armor, which the Mandalorian got from the sheriff in episode 1. So tying it all back together.
which is his
And
father's
basic,
armor.
yeah, his father's armor. Jango Fett, who got his head cut off by Mace Windu.
Shout out.
Shout out. Shout out to Django and Mace Windu, Samuel L. Jackson. And so basically, the last episode, episode 6, is basically, I just said basically 3 times now.
English is hard.
It is. It is. So in episode 6, Boba Fett comes to get his armor. Obviously, Mando doesn't know about Boba Fett because, again, he's been in a cult.
Yep,
So
it'd be like that.
they get to arguing about, oh, the armor is mine. And he's like, no, it belongs to the Mandalorians. And then the remnants of the Empire show up. And
Remnants, aka the fucking Star Cruiser.
feel free to take over at any point. I've been talking for fucking ever.
No, you good. Basically, what's his face shows up.
Moff
The
Gideon.
dude, Moff Gideon shows up because he's after the child, and motherfucker pulls up with like a whole ass Star Destroyer, I think, or is
I
it a
don't think
cruiser?
it's a Star Destroyer. It's like a
It's big, whatever
battle
it is.
cruiser. It's very big.
Yeah, it's a. Let me just say this: it's a big ass ship.
Basically,
And so essentially they start sending groups of individuals down.
they send troops now.
Yeah, they send the laser pointing people who can't hit anything down. I'm not even going to say their name because fuck them. So they send those guys down, and they get their ass beat by one of Mando's old acquaintances, Jango Fett, and
Boba Fett.
Jango Fett's son, Boba Fett. Excuse me. It's been a long week,
I
and it's
understand.
Tuesday. And Mando. So Mando's trying to get the child. Grogu is just vibing with the Force, man, and he is not having it. It's essentially like a force field. But unfortunately, the force field dies right as they're trying to rescue Grogu and get there before these like special robot troopers show up.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, these like Moff Gideon essentially created these special robot troopers, and they're good at fighting, I guess. As they just kind of jetpack down, jetpack back
yeah,
up.
we don't see much of them. Like nothing really
No.
happens with them. Um,
I assume it's a play on Mando's old fear of robots. Um,
Potentially.
I think it,
Um,
it could roll into that. I think that's where it's going, honestly, in my opinion. But basically, what happens is Grogu really connects with the Force, and it's amazing to see that because obviously, like for someone who's watched the Star Wars movies since they were a kid, you know, seeing Yoda and understanding Yoda and seeing someone like Yoda experience that kind of situation was really unique.
mhm.
But at the same time, they have now captured Grogu. Grogu showed some immense force powers on the cruiser by tossing some troopers around. And essentially now they called the doctor to do more experiments on
Yeah.
Yoda, baby
And
Yoda,
something we should
Grogu.
mention, in the midst of all of this, Boba Fett gets his armor back
Correct. Does some
and
dirty ass shit with it.
starts fucking niggas up. And so,
I didn't know he could fight like that either.
yeah, I know. Right? It's like, oh shit, damn, Boba
He's
Fett.
old, little
Yeah,
chubby, and I was like, damn.
he was getting it in. But so anyway, you know, but basically the reason what happens is like to kind of go back a few minutes is that before the troopers show up, when the troopers show up, basically they make a deal. Mando
Yes.
says, um, protect the child. I'll give you the armor, or that's the offer that Boba Fett gives him, and they're basically like, okay, deal. And then obviously the rest of that shit happens, and so the episode ends with obviously Grogu's been taken, and so Mando is his ship gets blown up.
He's distraught.
Um, so
Also, I got a little emotional when that ship blew up. They've been through a lot.
it was a bit like, damn, bro, that sucks. So anyway, ship goes up, but because the deal has not been upheld, at least on Boba Fett's side, he says, he's supposed to protect the child, and obviously, they lost him. He agrees to help Mando until, help him find Grogu, get him back, and then that'll be the end of
That
it.
was an exceedingly loyal moment that I was like very surprised
I
by.
wasn't expecting that.
No, not at all.
I wasn't expecting that, but a lot of that is because we just don't like Boba Fett's character is not fleshed out in the original trilogy
Yeah, we know nothing about
at all.
Boba
Like
Fett at all.
the was it 37, 38 minutes we get of episode 6 is the most character development Boba Fett ever has ever had.
In like 50 years.
Yeah, in like 50 years. It was some shit like
Yeah, that's
which
funny.
is nice to see. So basically, episode ends, they're going to find Moff Gideon, basically, and that's how that episode ends. And yeah, it's just exciting. I think they're setting themselves up with a lot of good storylines that they can tackle and go down. And so it's really just about kind of how that plays out for the rest of the season. Um,
Agreed.
I still don't. I kind of hesitate. I'd try not to really like predict what they're gonna do because then I feel like I get into a space where if they don't do what I'm hoping, then it's like feeling let down that what you wanted to happen doesn't happen. So I'm trying not to like really get too much into like trying to predict what will happen.
But
No, that wasn't really a but. Like I don't really
really?
have,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
no, like I don't really
I was
have
gonna, I was gonna speculate a little bit.
I don't really have any good ideas about what they might do.
I personally think it's going to take maybe a couple episodes for them to find Moff Gideon. I think it's going to be really intriguing to see where Moff Gideon goes
Yeah.
because I am really curious because Boba Fett mentioned a very key statement, and that is that they're back, like the Empire. And I think it's very important to note that
Hmm.
within this context
Yeah.
because I think Boba Fett's seen some shit.
It does. He does give off the vibe that he knows more than
Yes,
we
he's
know.
yes, right. And for that specifically, I think this might be setting up the Mandalorian to push themselves further into other seasons by bringing back the Empire once again. Because it looks like Moff Gideon is really kind of making himself as a kind of like the warlord type character that we've seen before in
Well,
some Star
mhm.
Wars elements.
Well, the Mandalorian is set. I think it's about 5 years after the Return of the Jedi, and so
Yeah,
by this point, I guess we would assume, like, obviously the Emperor is dead and Darth Vader dead, and so
they all gone.
basically most of the official leaders are gone, and so it's sets up a power vacuum, and it seems like
Yep,
Moff Gideon is the one
I feel it.
to step in and fill it.
Yeah. Um, which to be fair, I think he's doing a pretty decent job.
Yeah.
I just like my fear is obviously I'm concerned for little baby Grogu. I want him to do good. I want him not to die.
Well, they won't
Um,
do that.
I mean, bro, after Infinity War, I ain't got no trust for nobody.
But okay, to be fair, after Infinity War, you can't really look at something and be like, "Oh yeah, they won't kill him off," because obviously they'll kill off fucking anybody. I don't
Cool,
think they'll kill off Grogu. I don't think that'll happen.
bro. They'd lose everybody.
Yeah, they really would. They really would. They can't afford to do that.
Disney would be like, all right, we're
Yeah,
shutting down.
yeah, no, they can't afford to do that. Maybe Mando dies whenever they finally end the series as
That'd
a
be a
whole.
wild, wild ride if they kill Mando. Honestly, I think
Maybe
that would be
when the series ends as a whole, maybe it's potential to like kill him off, but I think it's still a bit too early to kind of really speculate as to they kind of
fair.
setting him up to get off.
It's fair. I think there's a potential for that, But I really hope he doesn't. I think Mando is a great character to have in the overall Star Wars canon.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And although I'm not a super Star Wars nerd like I would like to be, personally, I ain't got time right now.
True.
Every Friday, I
I
just kind
think
of
you'd
watch.
enjoy some of the video games. You definitely enjoy the animated series.
Yeah, it's true. I should, because I,
The
I mean,
animated
I,
series, I'm pretty sure you would like.
yeah, I do love animated series, like period. Like I watch all the DC animated series and
Yeah,
stuff, um, which shows you just how much of a
yeah,
fucking
no,
nerd I
the
am.
Star Wars animated series are really good. They're really good.
So, but yeah, so really looking forward to what we see this Friday. Kind of what's going to happen,
True.
who we're going to see, what's going to happen with Grogu, how Mando's going to react, how Mando's going to essentially deal with some of this bullshit. Honestly, um, hashtag very thankful for Kyle for explaining the things that I don't understand because I'm not as big of a Star Wars nerd as he is. But it'd be like that.
Oh
So
no, it's
that's
all
why.
good. I told my coworker because she probably has even maybe a little bit less knowledge than you of kind of like the Star Wars universe. I told her to Google Ahsoka before she watched the episode.
Yeah.
Just because if you don't know who Ahsoka is, I don't think that episode quite has the power that it does.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I had to watch a whole I watched a whole 20-minute YouTube video on her and her legacy
Yeah,
and like
uh,
who she is, who her master was, the shit she's been through, and like she's old. She's seen
yeah,
some shit.
no, for sure, definitely.
Like she was there for all of Anakin's
Yeah, she was there for all his bullshit.
youngling murder.
Yeah, which is why I told her like just kind of study up on who she is because it
Yeah,
makes that episode better. I
yeah,
think.
it's true.
But yeah, like Keaton said, really looking forward to what they do next episode. We're probably gonna do this like bi-weekly, not every week. Every week.
Of course, you want to hear my voice every single week talking about Star Wars. What could be
Yeah,
better?
yeah, no, exactly. So by the time we come back, there should be 2 episodes for us to talk about, which I think was enough content to kind of make a good discussion about. So thank y'all. For those who stuck through the entire podcast listening to this part, thank you. And if you only watch this part, thank you as well. That's gonna be it for us today. Like I said, like Keaton said, it's been a long week and it's only Tuesday. Uh,
Yeah, and it's gonna get longer.
it's only gonna get longer, but we want to keep pushing content out to you guys. We're trying to stay more consistent with that. So we figured we'd hop on and do this real quick for y'all.
Facts.
So
Shout out to Chan Fallon. Shout out to
yes,
our homie Quentin Malik Hall, who betrayed us and went to the dark side. Still one with us in our hearts,
yeah,
even
we still
though
love him.
yeah, we
We just love him from a distance. Yeah.
kind of love him. Kind of.
Kind of.
Kind of.
I love you, but I don't always like you.
No, he was supposed to balance the force, but instead he, you know, betrayed us. But
Yeah.
it'd be like that. But shout out to him. Shout out to just John Favreau and the entire community. Shout out to all the people
Yes.
staying
They
home,
really
staying
should
safe.
let that man direct the rest of these episodes as far as I'm
I agree. Yeah, they really should.
let him do that. Should have let him do that, but
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they didn't. But
yeah. Shout out to
yeah,
everybody recovering from coronavirus, doing all that stuff. We appreciate you for wearing your mask and doing the right thing and helping out the community that surrounds you. Please do not forget the Georgia elections are upcoming. The Senate runoff
yep,
elections are coming. Those are incredibly important for the Senate and how that's going to shift between the majority of Democrats and Republicans. Personally, I don't give a fucking shit how you vote. Um, I do, but I won't say that out loud. But
I
I
do,
want you
but the most
to,
important thing is
right?
please go vote.
Yes.
Exercise your right to do that.
Stating your stupid ass opinions about snorting cocaine on Facebook is not voting. Um, or talking about who you like on Facebook is not voting. So vote in the
Yeah.
Georgia election runoff if you have that opportunity. Stay home, stay safe, Zoom your family this holiday season. Please don't get coronavirus because it hurts all of us.
Yeah.
And Cal has his usual shout out.
Yep. Last thing, always gotta do this. Rest in peace, rest in power to anybody who's lost their lives due to COVID-19, police brutality, any fucking thing this year in 2020.
Facts.
It has been rough. I won't lie to you, and I've said this the last few podcasts. Coming into the winter, there's a good chance it's only going to get worse. But please stay strong. We'll send you all our thoughts, all our good energy, all our prayers. Like Keaton said, shout out to the people who are recovering from COVID. Shout out to the people who are wearing their mask, being safe. Please wear your mask and be safe. COVID is a very real thing. I don't know how many times I have to tell you that. I don't know how many times you got to see the death count numbers keep going up before you finally realize that. But COVID is very serious. Take it serious. Be safe. Wear a mask. Don't go out unless you have to. And
this is the way.
This is the way. Thank y'all for listening. We appreciate y'all taking the time out to do that. And we will catch y'all next time. Peace.